Hello and welcome to another episode of Messy Magic. I'm your host, Dee Guy, and this is the podcast where I bring you little ideas from my messy life to yours, and we explore what it means to have a messy life and to give ourselves permission to live messy. And to also experience the magic that is human life. We often have high expectations of how we want our life to be, and our real life doesn't always match those expectations, doesn't always match up to what we see portrayed in other people's lives. And so this podcast is about exploring all of those little ideas, and it's about me being real with you and giving you permission to do the exact same thing. So today there's a topic that's on my heart that I wanted to talk about because it's something that I've been thinking about this week, and it's all about how to make more space in your life. And this is something that I've been playing with lately. And I think it's a really important one, and I think it's one that we could all do with a bit of exploration around. First, a little story. So I went to an event last week. This is something that is associated with a course that I'm studying at the moment. I'm really excited about this course that I'm studying, and I will tell you more about it in the coming months. But for now, I'll tell you that I went to a one-day workshop, and I come from a corporate marketing background, so I've been to many different conferences and workshops and stuff during my career. And typically they are pretty jam-packed, and they run from 8 in the morning until maybe 4 in the afternoon, and you have like a set period of time for lunch, and you have short breaks in between, and it's go for the entire day. This particular workshop, the topic was around embodiment and being in our bodies. So it makes sense that this particular event was very much more about honouring our bodies and the space that we need. And what I loved about it, there was lots of things I loved about it, but one of the things I loved was that it was structured in a way that was really, really spacious. And so it started at 9, finished at 5:30, which I thought was a pretty late finish, but it actually worked really well. The sessions were really long and not rushed at all. And the breaks were long as well. We had a 45-minute morning tea break, then 90 minutes for lunch, and then I think it was 45 minutes for afternoon tea as well. So really long breaks, really long, immersive, deep sessions where we didn't cover a lot of content, but we covered things really deeply. And it just really spoke to me about how we structure things in our life. And so I've been playing with this idea in my own life since then, and giving myself a little bit more permission to give myself more time and more space. And so today's podcast is a few simple and practical ideas that you can use to give yourself a bit more space in your life. So I guess, first of all, why would we want to make more space? And a couple of things that came to mind for me were really to feel more relaxed and calm. And when you feel more relaxed and calm, your nervous system can cope more easily with the ups and downs of life. So really giving yourself more space in time and also physical surroundings is about your health. Another idea or another reason that I'd like to give myself more space is to allow time for creativity. I think it's in those moments where we're not obligated to do anything in particular. We're not moving from one activity to the next, but we're just kind of living in that space. Those are the moments when we can be our most creative. And really, quite simply, to have more space is to give yourself the time to experience more life. Life is happening in every moment, and when we're busy and our minds are racing, our bodies are racing, we're not really experiencing life. I mean, maybe sometimes we are, but I would argue a lot of the time we're kind of just going through the motions. And I think by slowing down and giving ourselves a little bit of space, we allow ourselves to experience the moment and to really dive into life, which I think is really exciting. So how do we give ourselves more space? So one of the things that I am doing or planning to do, which is the reason that this episode came up for me, was to unsubscribe from podcasts. And it may seem counterintuitive because this is a podcast. But feel free to use it as an example. But in any case, I love podcasts. But what I find is that I'm overwhelmed with the number of podcasts that are in my queue. And so this doesn't mean that I'm going to stop listening to podcasts. It just means that I'm going to mindfully go through my list of all the podcasts that I subscribe to. Ideally, I'll unsubscribe from everything. I don't know yet what that looks like, but that's my plan. And then when it comes to listening to a podcast, I can go, like, I know what I subscribe to. I know what I love. I don't always look for new things. I usually listen to the same podcasters because there's always new episodes. I subscribe to so many that I will be able to go to those shows and find an episode that I want to listen to without being overwhelmed with my inbox, because I use the app Castro to listen to podcasts and I really love it. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. It just organizes podcasts really well. I find it really intuitive as opposed to the Apple app, which I don't love. But what you do is you have an inbox of episodes and then you pick the ones that you want to listen to and you put them into your queue. And so my queue is endless because there's so many episodes I want to listen to. And so I'm looking at radically removing all of those episodes and trusting that if I'm meant to listen to them, they will come back into my life. So that's the first one, podcasts. Similarly, and I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, I have been unsubscribing from emails because I have so many email addresses and I also love to receive emails. Email marketing is my background, so I love to analyze emails and just receive and kind of see what offers are happening, see what designs they're using, see what copy they're using, because copywriting is also what I do. So I subscribe to a lot. And so recently I've been unsubscribing to as many as I can. Pretty much when something comes in, I'm unsubscribing from it. I do need to go through and delete a whole lot of emails, which is something I'm progressively doing. But emails is another thing that you can do to give you space. Another idea is to, when you're at home or in your office, anywhere that you have kind of control over, if you see something that's a bit untidy, take a few minutes or even 1 minute and just tidy up something small. Get rid of that rubbish on the counter, or like put some washing up away, or I don't know, clean off the dining room table. Whatever it is that's kind of a messy clutter in your face, take a minute to just tidy it off or tidy it up. I work from home, and so my home is obviously where I spend a whole lot of my time. And doing this exercise can have such a profound effect, and it sounds so simple, and it really is, but it doesn't make it easy to do, to kind of stop what you're doing right now and tidy something. But I think that's a really, really practical thing that we can do to make more space. Another big one for me at the moment is allowing more time than I think I need. Allowing more time than I think I need. And this is an endless work in progress for me. I always underestimate how much time I'm going to need. So I am working on overestimating the amount of time I think I'm going to need for something to allow a little bit more space. And I encourage you to do the same thing. I also think it's really important to periodically remember what it is that we prioritize, what's important to us, so that we can notice without judgment when we're putting our focus and our energy and activity into things that aren't necessarily important to us. And again, this is a very nuanced, very complex kind of topic or action. But if you can take a moment, a few minutes, even once a week, just to think about what's really important to me, what are my values, and how do I want to spend my energy and my focus, and you'll be surprised how often you remember that during the week. And then just notice, whenever you think of it, how you're spending your energy, and is it aligned with what I said my priorities are or my most important things are. And no judgment, don't get mad at yourself, don't get frustrated, and don't even necessarily change what you're doing, but just notice how you're spending your energy. In a similar theme, you can plan to arrive early. If you're going somewhere and you've got an appointment, or you've got to pick somebody up or maybe not drop someone off, that doesn't really apply, but if you're heading somewhere and you have to be there at a certain time, build in a little bit of extra space. My husband is really good at this. He says if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. And again, this is something that's a work in progress for me. I wish I was good at it, but I'm getting there. But if you could arrive early, imagine what that extra space might do. And if you do arrive early, I encourage you to not pick up your phone and just waste the time, but maybe do some daydreaming, or call someone who's important to you, or I don't know, just spend that time focusing on your breathing, looking around, using your senses to experience the moment. I think the idea of arriving early, that feels really spacious to me. Another one that I'm working on at the moment is to focus on one book at a time. And this is it's not necessarily about giving yourself space, but it's about giving yourself just focus, I suppose, rather than kind of being overwhelmed. It is about space, because for me, when I've got lots of things on the go, I feel overwhelmed. And if I've only got one thing on the go, I feel a lot more spacious. So at the moment, somehow I've ended up with 4 books on my bedside table that I'm partway through, and actively reading some of the time. And it is not a good idea. And so that's something that I am going to work on. And I did get really good at it for a while, and somehow I've fallen off the horse, but we will get back on. I also have, maybe 5 audiobooks on the go. So as you can tell, I'm very interested in lots of different things and consuming content. But if we can focus on one thing at a time, I think it gives us a lot more space. So that's another one. My final little tip is to build in time for tidying or simplifying, because I feel like sometimes these things are left until they have to be done, or they get so overwhelming that we're like, ugh, I just have to do that. I have to tidy that, or I have to clean out my inbox, or whatever it is. But what if you actually built in time into your schedule to do those things? What if once a week you spent an hour cleaning out your email inbox, or once a month you looked at your podcasts and cleared them out? What if once a day you spared 5 minutes to tidy up your desk, like at the end of the day or the beginning of the day? I think scheduling has a really powerful role to play, and I will have an episode coming out about scheduling your time as well. But in the meantime, let's play with the idea of building in time for tidying and simplifying. Overall, I encourage you to embody a fierce mama bear who's protecting her cubs when it comes to protecting the space that you've created. So I do believe that when we start to experience the space that we've created, we'll become enamored with it and we'll realize how much value it has and how much of a difference it makes to us. But we need to protect it because it is so easy to start giving up that space. Blank space is so easy to fill, isn't it? So things like saying no can be really hard, but if you leave a pause before you answer or accept something, you may find that you actually wish to say no, whether it be to an invitation, to respectfully decline an invitation, or to decide not to attend an event, or to not accept a freebie that you're about to be given, which is also really difficult to do. But if you say no, then that's one way of protecting your time and really just being mindful of how you're spending your time and allowing your space to expand. I'm really excited about exploring this in my life and implementing these ideas that I've been talking about. I would love to hear from you if you have any of your own ideas for building space into your life, into your time, into your physical surroundings. You can email me at hello@messymagic.co. I'd love to hear from you. And I hope this episode has given you a couple of little ideas, maybe a spark of inspiration to start something new and build some more space into your life. I'll be back in your podcast queue again soon. And in the meantime, I hope you have a magical day.